everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Travel Insights. Today we have with us Niranjan S Bhargava, Managing Director of Travelers Choice Private Limited, Bangalore. Niranjan is a BCom graduate with an MBA and has been a part of the travel and tourism industry for over 17 years now. He's currently the Honorary Secretary of the Karnataka chapter of TAI, Travel Agents Association of India, having earlier held the posts of Chairman, Honorary Secretary and Honorary Treasurer of the chapter. His company, Travelers Choice, was incorporated in the year 1994, and Niranjan took over as the Managing Director in the year 2003. And since then, he has shaped Travelers Choice into a company offering bespoke and customized travel services, focusing on SME travel management, high-end and outbound holidays, and also outbound and inbound student travel. An avid reader, he loves his Tintin comics. Niranjan has also liaised with educational institutions which offer travel and tourism courses and guided them and advised them on curriculum and course, so as to create a pipeline of industry-ready travel and tourism professionals. Niranjan is also a member of the Southern India Council of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, and he is a member of the Tourism Committee of the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, BCIC. Niranjan is one of those people who's been very vocal over the years about what can be done to better the travel industry and has represented TAI at various government forums. So welcome Niranjan, pleasure to have you with us here today.
Good afternoon and thank you Amish, good to be here. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Not at all, and so you've been around for the last 17 years, and I think you got in at a pretty young age into the travel industry, must have come in with stars in your eyes. And what has been your journey so far from 2003 till now? And tell us a little bit about how things have evolved over the years in the travel industry.
So I got in at the time when the industry was at an inflex point, you could say. You know, that was just after the dot-com burst. People were showing a very strong interest in the internet. The internet was just picking up in India, and e-commerce was at its infancy. And what I saw at that time was a superb opportunity, if you had the money, to get into the online space. But I realized that that game was for people with very deep pockets. So I had to innovate. So one of the things I did was look at avenues that were not too crowded within the travel industry and started focusing on it. So that's how we started successfully creating verticals that handle student travel, luxury holidays, because these areas, even though people look at information online, they generally prefer to have somebody handhold them and go through the process. So we have been maneuvering the industry through the online, with the online competition. We have been maneuvering our brick and mortar business by innovating in the verticals we are strong in. What I have seen obviously is the huge impact of technology in the travel and tourism space and on industries by and large. What it has done is it's created a very lopsided playing field. You know, people who have aggressive marketing budgets can easily garner market share, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing well when you look at the bottom line. But it's given them superb reach. Things have become much more easy to do now. And I believe the one grouse I have is it's created a very lopsided playing field, in the sense some people are benefited and smaller companies like mine and maybe some other people in India are adversely impacted sometimes by, I call it unfair policies by, principals and other, you could say, businesses.
So what, in terms of the evolution of the travel industry, what you say is that the biggest play was on the technology side, and that has probably hurt the travel trade more, do you feel?
It hasn't hurt the travel trade. Those who have adopted to it have managed to grow very successfully. And I'm actually for technology, in the sense that I've used it to create a hybrid version of a business, So we are a mix of both offline and online. So that has helped us. Technology has definitely helped the business in the sense we have got more visibility, we have better reach to markets, and we can communicate much faster. I think people who started off in the 90s would remember that to book even a single air ticket, it used to take almost a day sometimes, especially with the complex itinerary. And the only mode of communication to overseas destinations was fax or telex, which half the time wouldn't work. But now you could communicate on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is, such a convenient form of communication today, even though it's so informal. But people are doing so much business on it. So technology has helped us. It's how you adapt to it. And if you feel challenged by it, you definitely feel down and out. But if you learn to adapt, you can do very well. So what I'm saying is technology has also brought about a disadvantage in the sense that traditional formats of distribution like ours are being overlooked by principals by giving deep discounts which we can't match with. So I think that is something very unfair about technology. But overall, it has been a positive.
So you would probably, what you're saying is that it's more an ethical issue when it comes to the principles rather than the technology. It's just technology is a tool by which they're able to reach the customer.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So, yeah. So I think when any country like India, which is now rapidly coming up in the tech space for the last 20 years, I guess at the policy level itself, they should include all these permutations, combinations, and not look at it as an afterthought, which is the case right now.
And apart from the principles, how have you seen the change in customer behavior, customer preferences, customer requirements over these last years? Considering technology also having come into play.
So obviously, that has also seen its own learning cycle or learning curve. So initially, people would look at the internet for information and then come to somebody like you or me to do business. That slowly evolved into people doing business online. They gain confidence. There was also the scare of security, online security. Is my credit card data safe? Is my banking data safe? So now all that has changed, and even senior people who used to be very reluctant to use the internet now are pretty confident, and so that's been a very great shift in the way business is being transacted. However, I think post-pandemic we have all seen the number of cyber attacks going on. The number of attacks every day you see in the paper, somebody is being scammed or something like that. So we realize the internet has also evolved with the level of security it had previously and it has right now. I'm just giving you the whole deal. So one is the internet behavioral pattern. So we have seen people who are, very comfortable with the offline mode going into the online. Now looking at the demographic or the population demographic in India, we have a huge millennial population who swear by the internet. So they do everything online. So even if they know somebody and you have built a relationship with the family over the years, the internet has just disrupted that. So I think we need to gear up to handle the millennial clientele we have, because they're going to be the buying demography for the next 15-20 years at least, and everything is going to change. So that's how the patterns are changing. And what has also happened now, previously, I think when we guys started our business, if you didn't have a fancy office, you are a nobody. People would come by, they say, "Iska office hai, theek hai." He's a genuine guy. Now, if you don't have a website, you're not a genuine guy, So I think the roles are reversed. I was just reading the other day, there are universities that are being incorporated in the US where their total real estate holding will be not more than 1,000 square feet, and their entire operation is online. Now, I guess 20 years back, I couldn't think of something like that. If you didn't have an office space, you say you just work from home, you have an internet website, people will say this fellow is there to scam us all. So I think those are the shifts we are seeing. People, and this pandemic has also brought about that very clear understanding that the real estate required is minimal now. If you're tech ability at home in the sense of infrastructure is good, you can work from home as well as you do from office.
Now, you mentioned the millennial traveler, and that is obviously part of your business, considering that you handle student groups. So how are you able to satisfy their requirements when you bring in students from abroad, or you send out student groups from here to a country abroad? How are you able to match up with their requirements?
The student travel we do is slightly specialized. So it's not your run-of-the-mill buying an air ticket or something like that. When a product gets commoditized, it goes online and nobody makes money on it. It's like what we have seen in maybe a domestic air ticket in our traditional format of business. Somebody who wants to buy a Bangalore-Bombay ticket, he just goes to the website or goes to some app and does it in less than 3 minutes. And if we were to do it, we would spend maybe 10 minutes, but we won't earn anything. So we are not, and because it's commoditized, we don't make much money out of it, and it doesn't hurt us if that business goes away from us. But the kind of hand-holding that is required for a student aspiring to go abroad, or a part of a big group that is traveling abroad for a specific purpose, that requires a lot of customization, which cannot be done on the internet. It can be done, but it's not being done efficiently. So that's where we have managed to successfully be in the hybrid space of using technology for the information bit and the offline for the actual operations. Now, the outbound student looks for information and then comes to us, but if it's a commoditized product like buying an air ticket or some insurance, he does it online, and 9 out of 10 times we don't get the business. However, the foreigners coming to India, there's a deep mistrust, maybe because of the destination. But what I've realized with the behavioral patterns of traveling foreigners is they like to get their research done online, but 9 out of 10 times they would like to come to a brick and mortar business to do the final transaction. So that's again, I think, more to do with behavioral patterns and of the native places. But the millennial shift which we can see is, before, if they were researching, now they're researching and completing transactions as well. So we have not yet gone into that space of tapping the millennial customers, because like I mentioned, what we do is slightly specialized. It's not your run-of-the-mill travel. But run-of-the-mill travel, if you want to tap the millennial space, you need to be ideally somebody like an Expedia, Make My Trip, who can do everything online.
Now, coming to your role in your various capacities with various associations, you've been very active with TIE. In fact, you were the youngest ever chairman of a chapter, and you hold a post currently also as honorary secretary. You're also a part of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce and also a member of the Social Committee of Research. What role do you feel that associations and chambers can play in promoting the travel, tourism and hospitality industry, especially in times like where we are right now?
I think it started off as high school civics and then economics. We used to have a term called collective bargaining, if you remember that.
Yes.
So I guess all these industry forums are nothing but a take on collective bargaining. You sort of create a structure to the industry, and you help understand, you help the various stakeholders understand what this business is all about. So let us say TIE is, I think, the oldest travel association in India. Now I firmly believed in the capacity of TIE and the power it has, simply because we have a diverse membership and we bring in a lot of meat to the table which people don't recognize. Starting from small issues with principals, fostering the principal-agent relationship, and helping educate new members. That is something an association can do. And given the current pandemic situation, I think TIE has done a brilliant job. You have also been part of it. Unfortunately, in India, things happen in hindsight. Like they say, hindsight is always 2020. India is the perfect definition for that. India has been generating so much revenue through tourism, and we haven't got any help from the government or any stakeholder. And it's very unfortunate. And I guess now our leaders have impressed upon the government the value we bring in, and they have slowly started recognizing us, and hopefully the recognition will only go further. Unfortunately, in a place like India, where everything has a middleman, I think travel agents and tour operators have been slotted in as touts. Even though we are all professionals, we are qualified, we run legitimate businesses, but we have been considered a tout. However, high branded, good branding you have, whatever you do, end of the day, when somebody hears the word travel agent, he will say this fellow is a middleman, he is out to get your goat. That should change. I think that is what the association must also start working on. And it's extremely important in these scenarios to have a strong association, simply because we have big, powerful agents who are, having good reserves and surpluses. But we also have extremely small agents who are doing bona fide businesses but don't have those reserves, and he also needs to survive. It's totally unfair that for no fault of his, he gets washed away in this pandemic tsunami. Similarly, the other associations also are working aggressively to protect member interests or to promote member interests. For example, I believe the Indo-American Chamber, I'm a South India Council member. The great interest that is being generated is that we assume a lot of foreign companies are going to look at India as an alternate to China. So how can we as a chamber work with the local government, the Karnataka government or the central government, to get in those investments into India? And Karnataka has been pretty proactive with the Land Reform Act and other things. So that's how the industry works. It's not at a micro level, it's more at a macro level, and you'll feel the effect over the years. It's not immediate. So we have also, as you may be aware, a lot of agents in TIE who question, what has TIE done for me over the last 15, 20, 30 years? I think TIE has answered them right now during the last 4 months of the pandemic, with whatever positive results they've got with the airlines, with the hotels. There's a lot to be done, but it takes time, but it's happening.
That's great to hear. Now, coming to the COVID-19 and the lockdown and the pandemic, how has it affected your company personally? And what are the steps that you are taking to not only keep safe, but also stay above water as a travel operator during these times?
So we have also been badly affected in the sense that my company does a lot of groups from the months of February to July. So this pandemic has come right smack in the middle of our busiest season. We typically do a lot of outbound groups and a couple of inbound groups during this period. All that has been decimated. So yes, we have been affected pretty badly. Like most companies in industries, all industries, we have also had to affect pay cards and furloughing some staff. It's a business decision. It feels horrible personally, but end of the day, it's a business decision. And what we did early on, almost 4-5 years back, is we pushed towards becoming debt-free. So we have very low debt, and thankfully our interest burden is not as high as somebody with heavy debts. And we have managed to leverage that, and hopefully things are picking up now and we should be able to float. If we see a second wave now, then I think we all will need to dig deep into our pockets and come out with some solution.
And how would you change the way you sell your products and your experiences and your services to your customers? I mean, how should a travel agent also make changes? Obviously, you will have to make some changes in the way you plan for the customer and how you service them.
So I think one thing that is going to happen is you're going to see a real uptick in the purchase of travel insurance. Now, many other countries don't require travel insurance, and most people say, I'm just going for a couple of days or a week, I don't need it. And, if it's for a low-cost destination, let's say for Sri Lanka, nobody is going to take it. But seeing the cost of something like a COVID hospitalization, people have realized that medical expenses are going to shoot up. So I think in your sale portfolio to the end clientele, it's going to be an all-inclusive thing. You will be giving them maybe COVID inclusive travel insurance policies. You will be choosing vendors who have protocols in place. When you say you want a driver wearing a mask, you should be wearing a mask and not a chin strap. And there should be a fiber or plastic barricade between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. So the vendors, we generally work with best-in-class vendors, and I'm sure we are going to enforce that when we sell holidays or whatever services, saying that this is what we are going to bring to the table. Our vendors are following these protocols. This is the insurance you're going to get. These are the benefits. And I guess we will spend a lot of time in educating the traveler or the client about what to do and what not to do. So I guess, unfortunately, that's a non-revenue generating activity, but that is something we all should do, about educating and getting them sensitized about what to do and what not to do. And maybe one thing we could all do is get our vendors wherever. Like I remember once we had a family who had a handicapped person, and we managed to rent a wheelchair for that person for the duration of a week that he was in Singapore. And the other time they wanted a stroller, some other family wanted a stroller, and we managed to locate, our vendor said he couldn't do it, but we managed to find a vendor who hires out strollers to families, and we managed to get that for them. And I think that's the way we'll need to innovate. It's like when you work with some of these big American or European companies, when you do big events for them, you have set protocols as per the Six Sigma protocols. When you do like an event for them, you need to have an ambulance and fire engine on the hotel premises. You need to have a qualified doctor in place in case somebody has a heart attack or something like that. So I think all those things are something we will need to start working on, and also sensitize our partners across the world, saying that these are the services we will require you to give. And if somebody says he can't do that, he's going to go out of business.
So basically, what you say is that we will be changing and looking more at what the facilities and services the suppliers at the other end will offer to keep the customer comfortable, at least as far as the health and hygiene aspect is concerned.
Yes, and I guess that's where we hybrid or offline agents will score much higher than the online agents, because we bring in the degree of specialization which they can't. They can, but I don't think they'll deliver it as well as we can.
Yes, I fully agree with you there. So finally, Niranjan, any parting comments or thoughts, especially your point of view on how to do business beyond the COVID-19 curve?
So I guess we have all realized we have been working with flawed business models, and this is a great time to rectify that. And it's not something new I'm saying. Everybody's been saying this. They have realized that people have been stressing on cash flow rather than creating reserves and surpluses. So that's one shift we are all going to see. This is a great time to rewrite our contracts with whatever principals or whoever we are doing business with, simply because I feel we are being given a raw deal. And this is the time when the business starts. The business is going to, we are the business funnel for whatever principal, whichever hotel, whichever airline. I guess this is the right time we restructure our contracts with them, and we create a level playing field again. And this, connecting this to one of the previous questions you asked me, this is what associations should drive. Not just in the travel industry, across industries.
So great. Thank you so much, Niranjan. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. And let's hope we come out of this fast and get back to business.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Niranjan. And for our viewers, I hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you did, please don't forget to click on like, subscribe, share. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy.